All right, we should be live, and we'd like to welcome everybody back to episode 2 of the ORWBL podcast. We made it to week 2. I am one of your hosts, Aidan Cotter, joined with my other host, Brett Shepard. Brett, if you want to say hi.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for tuning in again. Successful week last week. Had a lot of fun, and it should be another great episode.
Yeah, we got some pretty positive feedback, and overall, I was pretty happy with it.
Yeah.
It went pretty well. All right, last week we actually, if you guys remember, we had Commissioner Al Friedman join us, and this week we have manager of the newly formed East Granger Billy Goats, Andrew Doran, joining us. Doran, if you want to say hi to everybody.
Hey, how you doing?
Welcome. We're happy to have you on here, Andrew.
I'm looking to have a lot of fun. Thank you.
Yeah, man. First question here. Just started off. What made you want to start your own team and bring a team into ORWBL?
Well, I had the ORWBL experience last year. I was on the Granger Panthers roster, able to play in a few games with those guys, and just realized how much fun it was. Wanted to get my buddies out there, and then I just contacted Al and asked him how I did it, and then it happened.
So, was last year really your first year playing wiffle ball?
No, I actually participated in Peace Fest in 2015, but other than that, only last year.
Nice. And then we were kind of talking before the show. You're bringing another, what would you say, 2 guys with you over from Granger?
2 guys over from Granger, Lucas Oletti and Brandon Campbell. Lucas, they're both going to be playing in the outfield. Both got big bats. It's going to be a good-looking team.
So outside of those guys, who else are you bringing over with you?
Other than that, we got Keegan White, who is just a friend of mine from school, played on the Penn baseball team. And we got Frankie Minerva, another kid from the Penn baseball team. And then my little brother Peyton's going to be out there with us a couple games. One of his friends, Vinny, he's got a big stick. Just lots of new faces, guys who haven't had any exposure. We're gonna get it for them.
That's awesome, man. Glad to hear that. So you were talking about playing last year with Granger. How helpful do you think that's going to be this year? Into just leadership with your team and overall just your personal wiffle ball?
Well, they definitely know how to run the team over there. So definitely leadership-wise, I can take some things from those guys. And late in games, being able to pull them out. And then obviously they're all pretty good players. They had a great season their first year last year. So be able to replicate some of the things those guys do at the plate as well as in the field on the mound. Should be able to do pretty good.
Yeah. Definitely.
Andrew, do you think that your good hometown days and your FA Cup runs last year are going to help you into this year, maybe take some momentum into the season? Does it raise any expectations for 2018?
Absolutely. We expect to come in and win right away. No one wants to go out there and lose any games. So we actually expected to go a little bit further in those tournaments and felt like we came up a little bit short, a little disappointed. So we're ready to come out in 2018 and prove ourselves.
Yeah, hometown days, you guys made it. Who did you guys lose to?
We ended up losing to the Godfathers.
That's right. So actually, we were the team I was on. We were figuring we were going to end up playing you guys, but that ended up not happening. But I remember watching part of that game, and I think that was the first time I really saw you guys play. But no, you guys looked good. And then you guys, how far did you guys make it at the FNA?
FNA, we made it. I can't remember exactly.
It was a double elimination.
What place we were, but we upset Clutch, and then we ended up losing to Long Dongs was the team's name on a walk-off home run, and then again after that to the Magic on another walk-off home run in the last inning. So
yeah, upsetting Clutch, I don't know, Clutch players definitely, a really, really good team. They've been playing for God knows how long.
Number of years.
Yeah, and anybody who, any kind of team that can beat them, I think definitely shows that you guys do belong. And
mm-hmm.
Definitely
what they have there.
Yeah, I think you guys should be in for a good season, honestly. Upsetting Clutch, that's a big deal, honestly. It really is.
Mm-hmm. They used to run the ball all the tournaments, man. Clutch used to be unbeatable at one point.
Yeah, that's a huge benchmark. And you guys have already achieved that before even getting a ton of experience. Big.
Basically, our pre-year, not even our first real year.
Yeah. So the biggest thing with me, and I think a lot of the guys that aren't really familiar with you guys, is like what makes you different from Granger? Because I think right now everybody kind of has you guys and Granger grouped in as all kind of the same kind of kids, same kind of players. Like, what do you think is the biggest thing this year that's going to set you guys apart from to make you a different team?
Well, I don't think we are as fast as them, so we need to be more powerful than them. I think we got a lot of powerful bats in the lineup. And we got some tricksters we can throw out on the mound. Lots of people nobody really know about. So our ability to switch up the pitching. I mean, I think they had the same pitcher pitch every game last season. Don't know how it's going to go this.
You guys going to go with a different approach, you think?
Yeah. Who do you plan on pitching? Who are some of the guys you're looking to turn to?
Well, myself, I'm going to be the primary starter, and then I'll give you one of my guys. I don't really want to throw out all my secret weapons quite yet, but Brandon Campbell's going to be seeing a lot of time on the mound as well.
So, were you the primary pitcher for your hometown days and F&A Cup run?
Yeah, I pitched every inning of all those games.
And then you said you had Lucas in left. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, Lucas is primarily going to be in left field.
I mean, yeah, Granger, I think everybody knows, is known for their fast and athletic team and easily one of the best fielding teams in ORWBL. And that's going to be hard to replicate, I think.
Oh, absolutely. Definitely got a lot of guys with some solid hands out there.
Yeah. You have some Penn baseball players coming to play, you said? A couple of them?
Yeah, a couple. I mean, myself and Keegan and Frankie. Brandon is also a former player.
Mm-hmm. They've all played for Penn.
So, I know you're not trying to give away too many of your secrets this early, which is definitely understandable. But do you think you give us a little sneak peek of, like, starting 5 for opening day? Or at least some possibilities.
I have 4 out of 5 already figured out, I can tell you. Opening day, I'm going to be starting on the mound, and Lucas will be on the left, Keegan will be in center. And, I mean, I got the 5 players figured out, but
position-wise,
I don't know what positions they're going to play.
Who are the other 2 players?
It's going to be Frankie and Brandon.
And what about, I know Cody Dini just got sent, he's up in San Diego right now.
Cody Dini, one of our first players ever on the team, one of the founders, co-founders.
Mm-hmm. He's
out in California right now, 13 weeks boot camp. Hopefully he gets through it, gets home safe.
Yep. We hope he gets through that safe as well. So is he going to be back? When's that? Will he be back for opening day?
I think it's the week after opening day. So we're definitely looking to get him in. Hopefully he's here for that game.
Yeah, it's always good to have lefty in the lineup.
Absolutely.
So what do you think, like, expectation-wise this year? Like, where do you see yourself with a 24-game schedule? Like, just crap shot number of wins. What do you think for you guys?
I want no lower than 16 wins for the first year. That would be the goal number right now.
Good expectations, man. I think the last time ORWBL had 24 games, 16 was the 2 seed, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But I mean, high expectations, but I like it. Absolutely. I mean, you guys are in the NL too, and outside of Granger and the Newts, like, there are some big question marks over in the NL.
Yeah, that's for sure.
We get our chance to prove ourselves right away. We go to New Carlisle week 1.
Week 1, that'll be fun. That's definitely, yeah. I mean, that's the place to prove yourself, really, playing at Big League.
Absolutely.
You guys play your cards right this first 3 weeks, you get in first place in the NL. All right.
Oh, no, Brett, go ahead.
Go ahead, Aidan. I was just saying, Aidan, what's your expectations?
Oh, for me? I don't know, man. I think you guys are a big unknown. I've really only seen you guys play a couple of times, and I don't know. I do think the Granger and the Newts definitely have in my opinion, those top 2 seasons got all locked up. But after that, like, you guys, Emery's, Lynn Street, like, Land Sharks, you guys all, I think, are going to be vying for that 3 seed. And I think it just depends, like, who gets hot at the right time. But it wouldn't surprise me to see you guys grab the 3 seed. But at the same time, like Granger obviously was the exception. They had an outstanding first season, but typically first season ORWBL, like, teams don't have a ton of success in their first year. I know, like, myself, our mechanics team, our first year, we were not very good. I think we were the 5 seed in the NL or the 6 seed. And even teams like established teams, like I know Maple City for a number of years struggled to get over the hump. And like Hudson Lake, who is a really solid team now, their first year, I think they lost like 30 games or something back when they played like a 40-game schedule. But like, I don't know, the first year is definitely a big adjustment period. It'll be interesting how you guys do. Brett, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think definitely that 3 seeds up for grabs. And I think East Granger's got the guys that have the ability to be able to get that 3 seed. If not, higher. I mean, you never know what could happen this season. They play East Granger plays Granger and New Carlisle, so those will be big series there. But like you said, it's also tough first year. But we proved it last year. The Panthers did that it can be done to have a successful first season. So it'll definitely be interesting, and I'm excited to see how the Billy Goats play this year.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely can be done, and especially having 2 or 3 guys from that team last year coming over, like, you guys have that experience to have seen it happen and can definitely get it done. All right.
So, Andrew, I just wanted to ask you also, so on this Billy Goats team, you mentioned the roster. Other than Lucas Oletti, or maybe you can talk about Lucas Oletti a little bit, but what's like a player to watch for in 2018 for the Billy Goats?
I think Keegan White is going to have a big season. Small guy, packs a big punch. He's got great hands out in the outfield, and he's definitely the sleeper to watch on the Billy Goats this year.
You thinking like a Rookie of the Year candidate?
Absolutely. No question about it.
Yeah, I've seen Keegan play. He can play pretty well. There's a lot of guys I feel like on the Billy Goats that we slept on. You mentioned Vinny. Vinny can pack a punch too with the bat, man.
Absolutely.
Well, he slept on. I agree. We mentioned Cody. He can play well. Frankie's not bad either. So there's a lot of Rookie of the Year potential for East Granger.
Yeah, Brett, I mean, you're pretty familiar with a lot of these guys, both being from Granger. Like, what if you had to pick one breakout guy this year for him? What would you think? Do you think you agree with him on Keegan, or you think it's someone else?
I honestly, I'd probably agree on Keegan. But like I said, there's other guys that I would, if they win, I wouldn't be surprised. But if I had to put my money on it, I'd put Keegan.
Now, I touched a little bit on, like, you guys coming from Granger. And, I mean, I think that's awesome. I'm all for league expansion and, like, getting more teams out there and making the league bigger. But is there any lost love between Granger and East Granger? Like, what's that series going to be like?
It's definitely going to be competitive. I wouldn't say there's lost love, but I'm still friends with all those guys.
Yeah.
But it's definitely going to be a competitive series, and I definitely want to win that one, especially on the road. Take it at their place.
Yeah, I'm interested because I think, like, Granger, you guys last year, there wasn't another team in the league where, like, you guys had you guys had some history with the Newts and, like, different teams throughout the league, but, like, there's something about playing the kids that you grew up playing with, the kids like, your entire life. There's something, like, a little different about that.
Yeah, that's for sure. It's definitely going to be an exciting day because that's our home opener as well. We're hoping to have a pretty decent crowd out at Panther Park. But yeah, definitely, like Andrew said, I mean, we're all friends off the field, but I'm sure during those 3 games, it could get a little hostile.
Yeah,
it should be
I'm sure it will be.
Yeah, but like it's all fun.
Yeah,
I'm sure one of those Panthers and me got a history of getting a little hostile when things get competitive.
Yeah, honestly, like, when I think about this kind of thing, you guys definitely reminds me a lot of, like, a kind of White Lightning back when they're in, like, a White Lightning Hudson Lake Heat kind of thing. Where, like, those guys, like, I mean, now majority of White Lightning does actually now play on Hudson Lake, but back when they were both in the league, like, off the field, like, could not find a closer group of guys, but, like, once the game started, they would get into it, and, like, definitely in a good way, like very competitive games, but they definitely got into it. It's always fun. I know those guys really enjoyed playing each other. It'll be cool to see if you guys can replicate some of that.
Yeah, it'll definitely be a fun, interesting rivalry for years to come, hopefully.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I mean, absolutely. Absolutely. I don't know, Brett, you got anything else for him?
I mean, I don't think so. And you got anything, Aidan?
I think I'm good. Doran, you got anything else you want to say? Any lasting thoughts about East Granger heading into 2018?
I just don't want anybody out there to sleep on my guys,
Yeah.
We're always putting the work in, always putting the work in.
Yeah, you guys seem confident, and you guys, I mean, come from a good football culture, so it'll be really interesting to see how you guys do this year.
I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely, man.
Looking forward to a great year this year.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, thanks for coming on, man. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for the opportunity.
Good talking to you, Bill.
Anytime, fellas.
All right. That was good to talk to him, man. It was good to get some exposure for East Granger. I know a lot of guys around the league are definitely not super familiar with him, and good to hear him. Honestly, I don't think I'd ever talked to Doran before that. That was.
Yeah. So yeah, that was a good one. Yeah. No, it's definitely an exciting team to watch this year. How they pan out. I'm excited to see how the Billy Goats play for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you guys' series is gonna be fun to watch.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be.
Mark to my calendar.
So now that we talked about rivalries, let's talk about we did our top 5 of the week last week. This week we're gonna go with top 5 rivalries. So Aidan, go ahead, give me your top 5 rivalries in ORWBL right now.
All right, so for 2018 specifically, just history aside, just for this season, number 1, I have really shouldn't come as a surprise. I have Newts and EA. I mean, Newts Emery's Army is probably the most historic rivalry in ORWBL. I mean, I don't think there's anybody to argue against that. And last year, Newts took all 3, and with EA not being, I don't know, I just felt like EA really was not EA last year. It was not the Emery's Army team that people knew, like recognized. I think this year, them adding Emmons back, and the Newts potentially, like after losing last year, a little hungrier and being a little, I don't know, maybe. I'm not saying that the balls are falling in on Carlisle, but you never know. I think that EA team is going to be a lot better. Maybe the Newts aren't as good as they were last year. I think it's going to be a really fun series.
Yeah.
Hopefully, replicate the old EA Newts.
Mm-hmm.
And then number 2, I have Hudson Lake Heat and the Saucony Lake Land Sharks. I think there was a piece up on ORWBL on the website a couple days ago, touching on the Mikey Smith leaving Jared Mahut in the Heat. And I think it was a funny article, but at the same time, like there's definitely some truth to that. I mean, I played with Jared in a couple tournaments, and like he's very serious about the loyalty thing. Like, if you leave the Hudson Lake Heat, man, you're not coming back. That's
PT.
Yeah, I mean that's.
I understand why he might leave, but I mean, can Jared really be mad if he's not playing him and he wants to leave?
I mean, yeah, that's definitely like the fair argument. I can definitely see why Mikey would want to leave. Like, he's shown flashes of Mikey's got a big bat, man. Like,
yeah, Mike can play for sure. I think if he gets a good chance, he could have a good season this year.
Yeah, and he's gonna have that with the Land Sharks, and I think that series is gonna be. I mean, obviously, dedicated to Cody Stroud, who tragically passed away this last fall.
Yeah.
And I know they're planning on doing something pretty big for him. It's going to be a really, really fun environment. I know our series is getting pushed back, and we're definitely going to be there to support them. I think it's going to be a really emotional series, but strictly wiffle ball, I think even without all the outside factors, I think those are 2 teams that are – the games are going to be more competitive than people think. They definitely are.
Yeah.
The Land Sharks, they got something to prove.
Mm-hmm. In a game like that, you can almost just set talent aside, and it's just kind of anybody's game.
Oh, absolutely.
That'll be week 1.
that series will be. And then number 3, like we talked about earlier, I do have East Granger and Granger. I think the series is gonna be heated. Like I've seen you guys like when Granger gets heated, like they definitely.
Oh, it can get crazy.
Yeah, I'm sure everybody listening can kind of understand where I'm coming from on that.
Yeah.
And definitely like I was saying to you guys earlier, like there's just something about playing the guys you grew up with in a competitive series that like makes it that much more of a rivalry. Like when you guys play, like I've seen you guys get heated with like the new match when you guys have played, but like those guys for the most part are total strangers. There's just when you're playing those guys that you know really well and like something else, man. So that'll be a good one too. Number 4, I have Muffs and Maple City. And this one's kind of, in my opinion, a little different rivalry. I don't think it's going to be super. Obviously, my manager, Anthony, Austin, both played on the Magic last year and got rings and are really tight with Al. And there's not really any, I wouldn't say there's any like heat between the two teams. I don't think it's going to be anything like that. But just two teams that really know how to play and have a history of playing together and against each other. I think that series is going to be a good one to watch for. And that's also week 1. Number 5, finally, I have Newt's Maple City. I mean, I think this is kind of given at this point. It's absolutely turned into a rivalry at this point. I mean, with what 2 straight World Series playing against each other, and then last year having Maple City actually beat the Newts, and even today, like seeing Kobe and Al go at it on Twitter, like those two, they definitely get along, but like there's
definitely
no shortage of trash talking between the guys.
For sure.
And I think if you asked Al who the one team they want to beat every year is, I promise he'd say the Newts. I can almost guarantee Kobe would say the same thing about Maple City.
No doubt.
So I'm actually not sure if they play in the regular season this year. But whenever they do run into each other, if they do at this season, you know that series is going to be very heated, which should be fun. I mean,
they played last year in the hometown days in the Elite Eight. That was a good game. I watched that one.
Absolutely, that was a fun one. Just like 2 really, really just good historic teams going at it. Like there's no better than that.
In a stage like that, that was a fun game.
Absolutely. All right, Brett. What about you? You got anything different, or you want to touch on some of the things I said?
I said number 1, I had Newts and EA as well, just because of the historicness. And like you said, I think Emmons going back to Emory's can maybe help restore some of EA's glory and make that rivalry a little bit more relevant.
Absolutely, man. Emmons coming back, I think, is a very underrated ad.
Yeah. Second, I had, just like we just talked about, Newts and Maple City, pretty much the reasons we said. I also had Billy Goats and Panthers in there, like we've been talking about all show. And then I also had number 4, I had Newts and Panthers, which I think is starting to be a rivalry that's growing. Play again this year. But last year we played them on the road at Migley in the regular season. Then we had to play them again in the NLCS, and it's always been fairly competitive, good games, and like you said, Twitter beef. I feel like we're getting more and more tweets at us from the Newts these days and whatnot.
Yeah, that seems to happen when you start to win games.
The target grows a little bit, I guess.
Oh, it absolutely does.
The @ button works a little more, but
no.
But yeah,
I definitely agree with that. You guys are. I think there's definitely there's definitely a tier 1 with you guys in the Newts where it's like it's anybody's game when you get each other, and after that, I think like we talked about earlier with the 3 seed being kind of up for grabs. I think the 2 of you guys have really cemented yourself as like the top 2 teams in the NL. So anytime you guys get together, it's sure to be a fun series.
Yeah, that's for sure. And then 5th, I had also what you mentioned was Muffs and Maple City, which I think is just interesting because of the Reef brothers just leaving Maple City after winning a World Series title with them. Not necessarily like leaving, like you said, in a bad way, but I think it will just be an interesting games when those teams meet.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I wouldn't say it's unprecedented, but like it's pretty rare you find guys who leave after winning a championship in any kind of sport. Not just ORWBL, but like you look around any kind of sport, like it does not happen very often.
Yeah, that's for sure. But it's gonna be interesting, and then obviously Muff signing you, and like you mentioned last week, you got Connor Van Overg and Jared Ruiz coming too, so those will be interesting. And then Maple City just signed Nate Arndt, so it'll be kind of like some Jet City guys going against each other.
Actually, honestly, I hadn't even really thought about that. That's an interesting component too.
Yeah, so I think that'll be a fun one.
Yeah, I know I'm excited for that opening, especially.
Mm-hmm.
And I know for a fact Anthony and Austin both are too.
That'll be
a fun one.
That'll be crazy. That'll be exciting to get in the rings and then having to play against Maple City.
Yeah. Yeah, that should be fun. And I think a lot of these, what's really interesting is a little off the topic, but last week we kind of touched on Skokie and actually, the Skokie situation. And we now have our finalized list of 20 for Invitational.
Yep.
And from ORWBL, we have you guys with Granger, we have Kyle Newts, and we have the Maple City Magic who are now in there as an at-large, I would say.
Yeah. Got in last minute, actually. I heard it from Friedman himself.
Yeah. And so I think, like you had Newts and you guys as a rivalry, and then Maple City and Newts as a rivalry, and Maple City and you guys as a rivalry. So anybody who runs into each other down in Skokie, like that'll be interesting. That'll be fun. Yeah, that'll be really interesting. These ORWBL rivalries. I always like to see them translate into tournaments. I think that's when they really start to grow.
Yeah, because then it seems like you're kind of playing them all the time. Like I mentioned before, like we played Maple City almost every tournament, it seems like. And that's kind of made that rivalry grow every time we played them.
And I think I don't know, it just feels like there's more at stake in a tournament kind of thing, especially when it's like a winner-go-home situation.
Yeah, like if you lose a league game, it's in the regular season, it's kind of like whatever. It hurts, but it's not too big of a deal. If you lose one in a tournament, it can ruin your whole day.
And not only that, but like when you're playing guys, especially maybe not in the playoffs, but more so like in a regular season series, like if you're gonna start beef with somebody during a regular season series, you still got 2 more games with them.
Yeah.
So I think that definitely like it's not as heated the three game ORWBL series, whereas in a tournament play, like winner go home, it's just one game, like everything's on the line. I think those are definitely where those rivalries build. That'll be really interesting. That can translate off into tournament play as well. All right, I think that just about wraps it up. Before we go, I do want to say we had a little bit, I wouldn't say it was super breaking news, but on Twitter about 2 hours before the recording of this podcast, the Lynn Street Leprechauns signed former New Prairie High School quarterback Nick Wilson to a contract. Yeah,
Nick Wilson is an unbelievable athlete, just like, all the quarterbacks over there at Lynn Street before him. He's really good for New Prairie, so I'll be interested to see how his athleticism translates to the football field. Nick Brass continues to expand that team and get more players, so definitely a team to keep an eye on for sure.
Yeah, I mean, for anyone who did not see Lynn Street's tweet, they now have every quarterback at New Prairie High School since 2012 is on Lynn Street's roster, which is really interesting.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, but Nick is like, that's a very underrated pickup, and I think depending on how much he plays, is absolutely a candidate for NL Rookie of the Year.
No doubt.
I know he had a really good hometown days with Tequila Mockingbird.
Yeah.
He's just a really good athlete. Like, got to see him play football for 3 years.
When
I was in high school with him. Just good athletes tend to do well in ORWBL.
That's for sure.
So that we'll definitely keep our eye on that situation.
Yeah.
All right, but that just about wraps it up. We'd just like to thank everybody for coming out. This is a little shorter than last week. This is typically the time we're going to be looking at 20 minutes, a half hour, that kind of thing. Good to have Doran on. Brett, thanks for coming on with me again, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man, it was a good time. Thanks, everyone, tuning in. We had a good time. Thanks, Andrew Doran, again, for tuning in, and looking forward to doing this again next week.
Yeah, definitely tune in next week. Be on again. Thanks for coming out, guys.